You know, when it comes to rewriting history, it's trying to rewrite history.
People were starting to say it's an East Coast, West Coast rivalry because it was people that's trying to make money. It was true people trying to make careers. It was people trying to get famous.
It's pure betrayal. Nobody saw this wild twist coming, especially not diehard hip-hop heads. For years, people have thrown around theories about what really happened to Tupac. But now, a shocking new name's been dragged into the mess. Snoop Dogg. Yeah, that's Snoop. The one who rolled with Pac back in the Death Row Records glory days.
I'm not the guy who's here for Puffy's downfall, but I am the guy who supports the victims who got victimized.
Now, out of nowhere, he's being tied to some serious behind-the-scenes connections that might link him to what went down in '96. The quiet rumors, they've exploded into full-blown noise. Is it possible that one of the biggest legends in the game had a hand in taking down another? Cops have reopened parts of Tupac's legacy, digging into his business moves, and now wild evidence is pointing straight at Snoop Dogg. The same guy once seen as Pac's close ally is being named as a possible player in the deadly setup. But it gets even crazier. Word is, Snoop wasn't flying solo. Allegedly, he teamed up with Sean Diddy Combs to pull off what some are calling a major industry takedown. If these claims are real, this might be the final piece that makes the whole picture snap into place. For almost 30 years, fans have felt the weight of Tupac and Snoop's rocky history. They looked like tight brothers, West Coast kings under Death Row Records, but behind the scenes, it wasn't all love. Insiders have long hinted at hidden tension. Was jealousy in the mix? Tupac was unstoppable, loud, bold, and shining bright. Snoop was still huge, but Pac's rise was next level, and some say Snoop didn't like playing second.
Stop letting these people use you, man. You didn't want to be pushing Death Row, you was on Death Row. That's not neither here nor there.
Rumor has it, the Dogfather started moving in silence, trying to protect his own legacy from being buried under Tupac's glow. And if that's true, just how far did he really go? Now here comes Suge Knight, the infamous ex-boss of Death Row, stirring things up from behind bars with some serious heat. Suge is claiming Snoop didn't just abandon Tupac. He straight up helped protect key players tied to Pac's downfall. He's naming names too, like Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a major suspect in the Vegas drive-by. Suge says Snoop tried to shield Keefe D from the fallout. But it gets deeper. Suge says Snoop's moves during the East Coast versus West Coast chaos weren't just about staying safe.
I'm quite sure everything, I am Death Row. Suge Knight is Death Row. So I'm quite sure, before it's said and done, all eyes on me and Machiavelli out of Pac's definitely come back to.
They were cold, calculated steps to get tight with Diddy and Bad Boy Records. And this isn't some random jail talk. Suge's word still holds weight. He's like the dark vault of hip-hop's messiest secrets. He's seen it all. Power plays, silent deals, and betrayals that never made headlines. He claims Snoop's jealousy wasn't just personal, it was business. Tupac was rising so fast, he was becoming a threat to everyone at Death Row, even Snoop. While Pac was firing shots at Bad Boy in public, was Snoop making quiet deals with Diddy on the side? The story ain't adding up. And Suge says that's no coincidence. Was Snoop playing both sides the whole time? And if so, what was he really chasing? Some say he felt pushed aside at Death Row and saw a way to protect his spot by teaming up with folks Pac had straight up called enemies.
Keefe D named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac's.
Snoop even backed away from Pac's aggressive stance on Bad Boy during interviews. Back then, people thought he was just keeping it classy. But with Suge's bombshell claims, maybe it wasn't about morals at all. Maybe it was a slick move, all about survival and strategy. Suge's not done dropping bombs. In one fiery interview, he straight up accused Snoop of trying to help bail out Keefe D, the same guy who admitted to being involved in Tupac's death. But Suge says it wasn't about helping a friend.
He's 3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
It was about fear. Fear of what Keefe D might spill if pushed too hard. He even claimed that both Snoop and Diddy had reasons to keep certain secrets locked away, secrets that could blow everything wide open. And now, there's talk of brand new evidence found in Tupac's reopened business files, and it's pointing straight at Snoop. Insiders say law enforcement might be closing in on a direct link, one that could finally connect Snoop to that tragic night. Could this be the smoking gun that ends decades of mystery? Could the Dogg father actually face charges for his alleged part in one of music's darkest chapters? It sounds unreal, but the puzzle pieces are snapping into place fast.
Right now, Davis is fighting for bail ahead of his trial, which he has pleaded not.
Right now, Keefe D is fighting for bail before his trial, claiming he's not guilty. Meanwhile, Snoop keeps pushing his peace-loving image, saying he stayed out of the East versus West beef. But that clean image is starting to crack. Even Suge, who's got no love for Diddy, has called out Snoop's sketchy behavior during and after Pac's time at death row. Suge says Snoop's been rewriting history, pretending he was just a bystander when he might have been pulling strings behind the scenes all along. And the drama just keeps piling up.
If you look at it, they committed fraud. They committed bankruptcy fraud. I didn't lose my company by doing anything wrong.
Suge is now claiming that Snoop's supposed ownership of Death Row Records is all smoke and mirrors, a fake flex with no real power behind it. He even dared Snoop to show the receipts and prove he really owns the label that once stood for everything Tupac believed in. Could it all just be a slick move to cash in on nostalgia? According to Suge, Snoop's whole image might be built on shaky ground. But the scariest part? The betrayal might not have been about fame or envy. It could have been about survival. Back in the wild 90s, the music game was ruthless. Loyalty shifted fast. Suge suggests Snoop saw the storm coming and made a cold decision to save himself, no matter who got crushed in the process. So how deep did he go to protect his spot? What lines did he cross? These are the questions still hanging heavy, and they won't disappear anytime soon. Here's what we do know: the pressure is on. Suge Knight's claims are getting louder, Keefe D's trial is around the corner, and cops are reportedly closing in on Snoop. The truth feels closer than ever. But as this messy tale of betrayal and ambition unravels, one thing's clear: it's not over yet. And just when you think it can't get darker, it does. Snoop's supposed ownership of Death Row Records is now under fire. In 2022, it looked like a major comeback. Snoop buying back the label that made him a star. He called it a legacy move, promising to respect the past and push the brand forward. But Suge's calling cap on the whole thing. He claims Snoop's ownership is fake, just a stunt, not a real takeover. If that's true, then Snoop's role in all of this gets even messier. Was it all just part of a long game to control the narrative and bury the past? But what if this was all part of a slick plan to rewrite history and hide the truth? Suge, who once ran Death Row, keeps pressing the issue. He says Snoop hasn't shown a single receipt, no proof of ownership, no real transparency. If Suge's telling the truth, then the big question is, what's Snoop trying to cover up?
See, where I'm going with this, Snoop, stop letting these people use you, man.
Maybe buying Death Row wasn't about honoring Tupac. Maybe it was about controlling the story. Word is, Death Row's archives are packed with unreleased music, private records, and business files from the 90s. Stuff that could reveal more than anyone wants out. And now that Snoop's in charge of it all, could he be using that power to keep certain secrets locked away? Secrets that might link him to what happened on Tupac's final night? Let's not forget, Suge's also blasted Snoop for wrecking Death Row's legacy. He says the label that once ran the game has become a weak shell under Snoop's lead, dropping projects that barely echo its legendary past. But what if that flop isn't just about bad calls? What if it's part of a bigger move, to keep attention away from what's really going down? Owning Death Row means controlling the entire narrative. Pac's story, Snoop's story, even the chaos of the East versus West beef. And if Snoop's true role in all that mess is darker than we think, it makes total sense he'd want to keep key details buried. Now here's where it gets even more twisted. The Keefe D connection. Suge openly said that Snoop was working behind the scenes to protect Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a man directly linked to Tupac's murder. Keefe D has admitted he was in the car during that infamous drive-by, and he even said his nephew, Orlando Anderson, pulled the trigger. So why would Snoop, someone who once rode with Pac, allegedly try to help the very guy tied to his death? That question hits different. Suge's theory is straight up chilling. Keefe D knows way too much. He claims Snoop's moves to bail Keefe D out weren't about doing the right thing. They were about protecting himself. If Keefe D talks, he might spill secrets that drag Snoop into the heart of a conspiracy no one's ready for. Could Snoop have spent years trying to silence the ones who really know what went down? And if that's true, how much longer can the silence last? Keefe D's trial is closing in fast, and with it, the chance he'll unload everything. Is Snoop's polished public image about to fall apart? And then there's that shadowy link between Diddy and Keefe D? Yeah, that's back in the spotlight too. Old law enforcement files claim that back when Diddy and Death Row were at war, Diddy may have offered big money to Keefe D's crew to take out both Tupac and Suge. Nothing's been proven in court, but even the hint of it paints a dark picture. So where does Snoop really fit in? If he was tied to Keefe D and keeps holding secrets about everyone, then one word from him could trigger a chain reaction that flips the entire hip-hop game upside down. This also throws shade on Snoop's moves during the East Coast versus West Coast war. While things were heating up, Snoop suddenly pulled back, publicly distancing himself from Tupac's hard stance against Bad Boy Records. To some, that shift felt way off for someone repping Death Row. Industry insiders now say maybe Snoop didn't see it as a coast-to-coast feud, but as a chance to flip the script. By playing nice with Diddy and Biggie, was Snoop setting himself up for life after Death Row? And if that's true, was it all part of a bigger plan to dodge the fallout from Tupac's all-out war? That's where things get real shady. This isn't the first time Snoop's moves raised eyebrows. Back in the 90s, right in the middle of the East Coast versus West Coast feud, he shocked folks by showing love to Bad Boy Records, while Tupac was going full blast at Diddy and Biggie. Snoop even gave props to their music publicly, which sparked serious tension between him and Pac. Some say that moment broke their bond for good. Tupac reportedly felt betrayed, like Snoop wasn't really down for the West Coast cause. Looking back, was that moment when Snoop's quiet resentment turned into something darker? The timing says a lot. While Tupac was rising fast at Death Row, dominating the charts and grabbing all the spotlight, Snoop was stuck in legal battles and fading from the front lines. Pac had become the label's new king. Snoop was slowly being pushed to the side. So was Snoop's praise for Bad Boy just a friendly gesture, or a calculated move to step away from Pac's growing power? And if that's true, how far was he really willing to go to protect his own spot in the game? The final days between Tupac and Snoop were full of tension and silence. Reports say their last exchange was cold. Pac was furious over Snoop's public praise of the East Coast, and he straight up refused to talk to him. They were both set to hit the same Vegas fight, but Pac told folks he didn't want Snoop anywhere near him. Days later, Tupac was gone. Was that falling out just bad timing, or the end of a friendship that had already soured? And if Snoop did hold any bitterness toward Pac, did it play a bigger role than anyone thought? As more pieces fall into place, alleged betrayals, shady alliances, and messy power plays, one thing's becoming clear. This story runs deeper than anyone expected. Snoop Dogg, once the face of chill vibes and peace, is now being tied to one of hip-hop's darkest sagas. From his alleged link to Keefe D to questions over Death Row's ownership, the smoke's getting thicker. And with more evidence rumored to be surfacing, it's starting to feel like the truth is finally catching up. But here's the real question. Will the full truth ever come out? Will Keefe D's trial finally blow the lid off decades of secrets? Will Suge's claims force Snoop to face the heat? Or will this whole thing stay buried in the shadows of hip-hop's darkest chapter? We don't have all the answers yet. But one thing's for sure. this story is far from over. So what do you think? Is Snoop Dogg just a misunderstood icon caught in the chaos? Or is there something deeper he's been hiding all along? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear it all. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to see the truth unravel. And don't miss the next drop. This saga's heating up fast. Until then, stay sharp. Because the truth, it's creeping closer every day.